sorrow. Now, will you promise me that you will follow him, do what he tells you, obey him in all things, and not desert him?" We will, my master," they all cried fervently. "Then there is one thing more. I want to shake hands with you all before you go, and we part forever." And they all rushed up at once, and a vigorous shake was interchanged with each man. "Now, let every man take up his load." In a short time I marched them out into the street, and to the beach, and saw them all on board, and the canvas hoisted, and the dhow speeding westward on her way to Bagamoyo. I felt strange and lonely somehow. My dark friends, who had travelled over so many hundreds of miles, and shared so many dangers with me, were gone, and I was left behind. How many of their friendly faces shall I see again? On the 29th the steamer Africa, belonging to the German Consulate, was chartered by a party of 5 of us, and we departed from Zanzibar to Seychelles, with the good wishes of almost all the European residents on the island. We arrived at Seychelles on the 9th of June, about 12 hours after the French mail had departed for Aden. As there is only monthly communication between Mahé, Seychelles, and Aden, we were compelled to remain on the island of Mahé 1 month. My life in Mahé is among the most agreeable things connected with my return from Africa. I found my companions estimable gentlemen and true Christians. Mr. Livingstone exhibited many amiable traits of character, and proved himself to be a studious, thoughtful, earnest man. When at last the French steamer came from Mauritius, there was not one of our party who did not regret leaving the beautiful island, and the hospitable British officers who were stationed there. The Civil Commissioner, Mr. Hales Franklin, and Dr. Brooks, did their utmost to welcome the wanderer, and I take this opportunity to acknowledge the many civilities I personally received from them. At Aden, the passengers from the south were transferred on board the French mail steamer, the Mekong, en route from China to Marseilles. At the latter port I was received with open arms by Dr. Hosmer and the representatives of the Daily Telegraph, and was then told how many men regarded the results of the expedition, but it was not until I arrived in England that I realized it. Mr. Bennett, who had originated and sustained the enterprise, now crowned it by one of the most generous acts that could be conceived. I had promised Dr. Livingstone that 24 hours after I saw his letters to Mr. Bennett, published in the London journals, I would post his letters to his family and friends in England. In order to permit me to keep my plighted word, and in order that there might be no delay in the delivery of his family letters, Mr. Bennett's agent telegraphed to New York the Herald letters I had received from Dr. Livingstone at an expense of nearly £2,000. And now, dear reader, the time has come for you and I to part. Let us hope that it is not final. A traveller finds himself compelled to repeat the regretful parting words often. During the career recorded in the foregoing book, I have bidden many farewells: to the Wagogo, with their fierce effrontery; to Mionvu, whose blackmailing once so affected me; to the Wavinza, whose noisy clatter promised to provoke dire hostilities; to the inhospitable Warundi; to the Arab slave traders and half castes; to all fevers, remittent and intermittent; to the sloughs and swamps of Makata; to the brackish waters and howling wastes; to my own dusky friends and followers; and to the hero traveller and Christian gentleman, David Livingstone. It is with kindliest wishes to all who have followed my footsteps on these pages that I repeat once more, farewell. End of chapter 16.